Now, Matchday 1 has been a bit of a mixed bag for me so far in this game, but I'm going to put that all behind me and show you my team selection for Matchday 2. Alright, well, here's how my team is looking so far. So I'm recording this at 9:20 AM on the 18th of June. So there are still some games to happen, and you might well have watched this video when some of my other players have actually played. So just bear that in mind when you watch this video. Currently 17,000th overall, which I'd say is pretty sort of mid-rank, really. Nothing too special. And yeah, I think we've got to talk about a couple of things, haven't we? A couple of things that have, well, impacted my team, somewhat at least. Kane blanking against Auckland when Bayern Munich win 10-0, and Kane blanked. Yeah, what more could you say there? Absolute nightmare. The deadline itself, thankfully, I was away at a swimming competition this weekend, so I needed to get my sleep, so I couldn't actually stay up for the deadline here in the UK. But as I understand it, FIFA cut the game like an hour before the deadline for some players. So some people had their team set before the deadline even happened. So that was a bit of a disaster. Thankfully for me, that wasn't the case. I had to select my team long before the deadline because of the competition I was at. And then what else have we got here? I would say I've got pretty unlucky here with Dumfries as well. 40% owned in the game. And you would imagine, right, he, in my mind, should be one of the first names on the Inter Milan team sheet, and he didn't even play a single minute. So, yeah, there's a few points, I'd say, of unluckiness there in my team, but, you know, we move on and we go forwards to Matchday 2. What else have I got to note there? Well, I've got Francisco Moura, Rafael Guerreiro and Ryerson, 3 defenders keeping clean sheets. I moved my captaincy onto Ryerson, and I'm a little bit unsure now, with only really Haaland left, as to whether it's worth changing the captaincy to Haaland or just banking the clean sheet points I've got from Ryerson. That's something I think to bear in mind. Kelly's there. I'm just hoping Kelly starts, really. I don't think I'd change the captaincy to him purely because I'm not sure if he'll keep a clean... Well, not sure if he'll start, let alone keep a clean sheet. So, yeah, I'm in two minds at the moment as to whether I move the captaincy from Ryerson to Haaland. What else have I got to note there? Well, DRS Keita did really well in his first fixture, but I believe he's got Chelsea now, hasn't he? So I'm a little bit unsure as to whether he should stay in my team, and he could potentially be moved on. Other players that I could potentially move on as well. I'm looking at Rafael Guerreiro. I'm worried about his minutes now going forward. I think he could potentially be leaving my team as well. So 2 players immediately there that I think I could possibly transfer out. All right, then I went through this previously on my buy and avoid video, but we got to take a look at essentially for transfers I'm making for Matchday 2, clean sheet odds and projected goals, right? I'm planning to use my max captain this week in Matchday 2 and then wildcarding for Matchday 3. So ultimately, the transfers that I'm making, I only have to make with 1 game week ahead in mind. So I'm just purely almost on a free hit with free transfers, if that makes sense, if you know FPL. So Benfica, Juventus, 2 of the top teams for clean sheet odds. 75% for Benfica, 67% for Juventus. Inter Milan on 58, Atletico on 58. You can kind of see from the team that I already have a fair few defenders from the teams that are high up in clean sheet odds. But what I don't have is a defender from Benfica. So that might be something I'd do with my team. In terms of projected goals, it's a relatively similar story, right? You'd imagine clean sheet odds and projected goals follow a trend of how easy is that relative teams or how easy is that respective team's fixture, right? So you've got Man City top for projected goals, and it'd be great to bring in another Man City player alongside Haaland, but you tell me who you can hang your hat on actually playing. I'm not sure, other than Haaland, that you realistically can. So for me, I'm probably just going to stick with Haaland. Benfica, though, 3.63 projected goals. I've only got 1 Benfica player in Pavlidis so far. I think I could potentially be bringing in another one. Paris Saint-Germain, I really want to get on a Paris Saint-Germain asset as well. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Atletico, I could potentially go for an Atletico Madrid player, but other than Julian Alvarez, I'm not all that convinced there is one that I really want to go for, to be honest. So with a view of clean sheet odds and projected goals, purely with Matchday 2 in mind, that's where my mind is in terms of transfers. All right, I also included this graphic on my buy and avoid video, but I think when you look at the numbers and the projected goals and clean sheet odds, whatever there, you see that Benfica is the top team for clean sheet odds, and They're looking pretty good for projected goals. And you would think on the face of it that you could predict the Benfica team, right? You see the number of games that some of these players, or the attackers at least, have played there. So you've got defensive assets on the top, some more attacking assets on the bottom. But unfortunately, Artuglu, who I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, I was really keen on bringing in for Matchday 2, didn't play in Matchday 1. So I'm a little bit unsure as to whether I should go for him. Otamendi, Trubin, and Antonio Silva are the three sort of best defensive assets, I would say. Antonio Silva, I hope, will stay under 5% owned. Otamendi is going to go over. He might have already gone over by this point, the point that you see this video. I think Otamendi's the better of the two, but I think that could be offset by Antonio Silva's ownership. And I also think I don't have enough cash to go for Otamendi either. Trubin, I've got Marchessan and Armani in goal. I just don't think I'll be able to squeeze him in, basically. Di Maria could be interesting. He is just a little bit more expensive than Artuglu, but I'm going to butcher his pronunciation of his name every time. Someone in the comments let me know how to pronounce it. But he did take a penalty in Matchday 1, and the fact he started and Artuglu didn't, that sort of makes me think that Di Maria could potentially be the one to go for. But when you look at the numbers they put up this season, that's really hard to say that, because the other guy played double the games, scored double the goals, and got double the assists. So, I mean, you know, the numbers are pretty compelling to go the other way. I've already got Pavlidis in my team. I think he is probably the best Benfica asset. 26 goals, 9 assists from 47 games last season. Just crazy, crazy numbers. So, yeah, target Benfica is the operation, and those are my thoughts on the players to pick. Remembering back to what I said when going through my team, I was pretty confident that Rafael Guerreiro would play against Auckland City with his sort of attacking accolades as such. But I'm not so sure he plays in the second fixture for Bayern Munich. And I think of all of the defenders I have in my team, he's the one that could be sold the most, if that makes sense. So I'm going to bring in Antonio Silva. You know, under 5% owned, hopefully getting those differential or the scouting bonus points. And yeah, I think Benfica should keep a clean sheet. They're like 75% to keep a clean sheet. Let's just revisit those ridiculous clean sheet odds a second. Sorry, that was my team. Yes, 75% according to Elevenify to keep a clean sheet, which is just, it's absolutely outrageous. I've never seen numbers like it. The rest of my team is kind of filled by players with very decent clean sheet odds. Anyway, my goalkeepers, much for muchness. I went for the cheapest goalkeepers. I didn't really care too much about them. Francisco Moura's got Miami. Ryson's got a good fixture. Well, they all do. So I think they all have pretty decent clean sheet odds. So I'm only really worried about selling Guerreiro. And I think I'd bring in Antonio Silva as a result. The only thing here is, with Dumfries not playing a single minute in Matchday 1, I could potentially go for Hakimi from PSG as well. They got a good fixture, good projected goals, good clean sheet odds. I think Hakimi could be a good option for Matchday 2 as well. But that would involve taking a hit, a -3 hit, in order to do it. So for the time being, I'm going to stick with Dumfries. A little bit obviously annoyed that he didn't play in Matchday 2. If we get any sniff that he doesn't play in Matchday 1, if you get a sniff that he doesn't play in Matchday 2, could be moving him on as well. In terms of the midfield then, I've gone for Artuglu at the moment because looking at his numbers from last season compared to Di Maria's, they are just so much better. But once again, we get a sniff that he doesn't play. I think I'll just go for Di Maria. There's not much in it in terms of cost and price. You know, it's Di Maria's swan song at Benfica. I think it makes sense to go for him if we don't get anything on Artuglu, basically. The rest of my midfield, though, is going to stay the same. I can't really sell Elise. He's the outstanding Bayern Munich midfielder, in my opinion. And he's got decent fixture against Boca Juniors. Mastantuono, when you keep him in your team just because he's the best cheap midfielder. Disappointing showing in Matchday 1, but, you know, hoping we can get something in 2. Enzo Fernandez and Cole Palmer, two of the best assets in the game. I know Cole Palmer didn't do anything in Matchday 1, but I think he'll be fine. Flamengo, I still think, is a reasonably good fixture. And then it's just a debate as to whether I go for Artuglu or I go for Di Maria. At the moment, it's Artuglu, but yeah, it could be Di Maria. And then up front, well, you can see I'm not really making a transfer here. At the moment, I'm just going to use my 2 free transfers to bring in Silva and the other Benfica midfielder. I'm going to stop trying to pronounce his name. Up front, I've got Pavlidis, Kane and Haaland. And I don't really feel a need to change it. Captaincy will be whoever plays first, basically, and I'll continue to move the captaincy on. So I'm not too concerned about the captaincy. I think Pavlidis, I picked him in Matchday 1, hoping he might get something. He didn't, but he's here in my team for Matchday 2, and I don't need to take a hit in order to do that. That leaves me available to just take 1 hit if I want to bring in a PSG asset. Obviously, the team is a bit light on PSG players. They did obviously beat Atletico Madrid, the fixture that people were actually worried about in Matchday 1. I do feel a little bit light on the PSG front. So if I go for Hakimi, there could also potentially be another hit for another PSG player. But as the time goes, for the time being, I think it's just the 2 free transfers to bring in Silva and Aktürkoğlu. And yeah, potentially do Dumfries to Hakimi. That's probably the one main hit that I'm looking at. All right, well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that and found it useful. My rank, obviously, in this game isn't the best at this stage, but there's still a little bit of more action to go. So hopefully some of my players here can help me climb the leaderboards. If you enjoyed the video, found it useful, please leave me a like rating. Let me know in the comments if there's any changes you'd make to my team that I haven't discussed already. I've told you about the captaincy. I'm an idiot, basically. I'm going to use the max captain. So it doesn't actually matter who I captain because the max captain will be active, which I think is a good place to be because not entirely sure when you look at that team who the best captain is. I'm going to stick to my guns with my original chip strategy. So max captain Matchday 2, and I'm going to wildcard in Matchday 3. So yeah, if you haven't already and want to see more Club World Cup and FPL content from me, please subscribe to the Goal to Goal channel, which should be just about there on your screen. Yeah, that just leaves me to say thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.